Welcome to day one of the High Income Health Expert Challenge. And today we're going to be covering how you can monetize your health knowledge online. You might be wondering, who is this for? And is this really for me? This challenge for the next 5 days is for you if you are a health enthusiast and you want to monetize your knowledge online. You want to know how you could take this passion for health and turn it into a profitable program, or to be able to have a career in this type of calling, then this is a program you're gonna love. And also, if you know someone, you can actually invite people to this challenge. It's free to attend. If you want to join the VIP, it's $49 upgrade, where you can come live, backstage pass, get your questions answered. And this is great for if you have a health method or a program developed, if you have some sort of framework or a methodology, a protocol to help people, and you got a burden to get this out to the world. I'm the person that people call when they're ready, when they've got this training and they just want to know how to get it before the people. This is what we're going to be talking about during this challenge. And if you're a health consultant or a coach, or you want to start learning how to get paid a premium price for your health advice, and you want to be a coach or a consultant, you're going to learn a lot here. If you are a chef, if you're a nutritionist, if you're someone who works with food and nutrition, then we're also going to be helping you. If you are a naturopathic doctor, we work with naturopathic doctors often. And these programs will absolutely help you. If you're a health speaker, if you want to learn how to get booked and paid to speak about these health topics and sharing your message and knowledge with the world, we're going to go into great depth here. Or if you're an existing speaker and you're ready to scale to the next level, then we're going to be sharing with you principles to do that. If you're a wellness author, or you want to become a best-selling author on these health topics, then you're going to learn some principles that will help anyone who's published a book or desires to publish a book. These are the foundations to really get your message far and wide. If you are a health practitioner, this will help you to grow your health practice, whether it's local or online. You're going to learn a lot of concepts here. If you're a medical missionary, and really anyone who has a health message that wants to change people's lives, this training is for you. A little bit about me. The reason why I'm here is because I had a heart attack when I was 12 years old, and I was 210 pounds. I was the second fattest kid of an elementary school of about 1,000 students, and I found myself one day being rushed to the hospital, and I was sitting there. I was faced with a decision, one that no 12-year-old really needs to decide, and I realized that something needed to change. I found out I was high cholesterol, high blood pressure, borderline diabetic, and I already knew I was morbidly obese and quite depressed. But I was on the standard American diet. I was very sad, and this was a decision. I was like, what can I do? How could I change my health, my life? Because I imagined I was standing on a precipice, like a cliff, with 1 foot off with the direction my life is going. And if something doesn't change, I'm not going to, I can't continue this way. And maybe some of you are here too, like you see the direction, maybe financially, and you're going towards a cliff, and you see that, or you don't like the direction you're going, you want to change something. This challenge is here to help you. And maybe there's people that you know or who could reach that are also in a similar situation I was. And by you getting your health message out, you can help those people. I'm alive because one man with a health message decided to monetize this health knowledge by packaging it into a book and a program. And he sold that program to my mother, that I'm alive to tell the story today. And that's why we are on a mission in our company to empower a movement of health educators to get your message to the masses so you can save the lives of people you're called to serve. And I was able to, by God's grace, share that story of how Hans Diehl, the late Hans Diehl, his program have literally saved my life. And he was so grateful to hear that. And he was starting another program. And before he passed away somewhat recently, we were in communication together about how he can get this next initiative up and going. And it's really amazing to see how everything goes full spin there. How God just orchestrates things in your life. What happened was, because of that life-transforming story, people started to realize that I had a testimony, and they wanted to hear my journey of having a heart attack when I was 12 and what I did. So I started doing cooking classes around the nation, health lectures, seminars, and I started teaching what I knew about these topics. I started when I was 17, and I've been doing it I'm 30 now, so it's about 13 years ago. And then I've been fascinated with digital marketing since I was 12, and I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10. I just really have found these topics to be interesting. And what happened was God blessed, where eventually our health education business became a multiple six-figure family business, and people started asking, like, what are you doing? How are you breaking these sales records? How are you growing your company? What are you doing? And I started getting interviewed by multimillionaires to share with their audience about health marketing. And I began to realize that a lot of health educators are brilliant when it comes to disease, its cause, prevention, cure, or sickness or weight loss. When it comes to matters of the health, there's so much power and knowledge there. But when it comes to matters of business and wealth, there's a lot of disconnect. There's a lot of things that people don't understand. So I started to shift and start sharing some of these marketing principles that have allowed our company to grow in multiple six figures. It allowed me to make $10,000 a month in my early 20s, and has been able to provide the passive residual income throughout the rest of my 20s to be able to pursue causes I care about and do missions and activities that are enjoyable and live a life that I actually enjoy. And so my mission is to help you to be able to experience this, so that your income can actually be associated to the mission that you like, the mission, the message that you bear to the world to do the world good. So in this challenge, I'm going to be pulling back the curtains of what I've learned. And but I realize that while I share these concepts, I've invested over $100,000 in learning marketing and business and trying to figure out these lessons. And I'm going to be not holding anything back, just giving you what I can during this time. But I realize that when things are given for free, people tend to value them less. So I want you to pretend as though you invested $10,000 into this challenge. Can you do that? Because if you can commit to investing in here, showing up, engaging and doing the assignments, being a part of this, you are going to get far more than those who just watch passively. They don't engage, they don't respond in the chats. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to give you some opportunities to speak in the chat. Sometimes it's helpful for you to, if there's an aha moment, there's something you want to write down, type it in the chat, type it in the comments. These quotables or concepts that really landed well with you, because it engages your mind, gives you opportunity to express it, it helps others to find things as well, and just engage with it, because learning is not a spectator sport. It's not something you do passively. The more you can actively do it, you're going to get more from this challenge if you can commit. How many of you are willing to be committed as though you paid $10,000 to be here, right? Type committed in the chat if that's you. Now, I've realized when it comes to health marketing and growing a business with your health knowledge, it seems like there's just so many different ways and routes and methods and a lot of different advice out there. If you go to Russell Brunson, he's going to tell you that you've got a business problem, there's a funnel for that. You got to use sales funnels. And if you go to Daryl Eves, he's going to be telling you that YouTube marketing is the best marketing you could possibly do. And Peng Joon is going to teach you about Facebook ads and running profitable ads. And Sean Cannell, he's going to teach you about video marketing and being able to record videos online. And Pedro Deo will talk about 5-day challenges, which is what we're doing now. Myron Golden talks about selling from stage and being able to sell one-to-many. There's a lot that you learn there. David Shands, he's going to be talking to you about podcasts, showing that podcast is one of the best ways to grow your business. And Steve Larson will talk about webinars and how you can use webinars to launch and scale companies. And while there's a lot of great advisors out there, and I've invested in many of their programs and learned so many great things, it can leave one feeling confused and conflicted, wondering, where do I start? What is my next step? What actually works in 2025? Not old marketing methods that worked 5 years ago, because even 3 years ago with the landscape of AI, things are so drastically different than they were, and things are changing every day. So how could we figure out what's working now in the health marketing space? Not just general business, but actually holistic health education. Very few of them actually know how to market in this program, or if they do know, they don't actually talk about it because they're trying to reach a broader appeal. Or a lot of the health practitioners who know how to grow successfully, they're not teaching health marketing because they either one, they don't want you to know, they're afraid for you to know, or two, they're so busy doing the health practicing that they don't, that's not their thing. They're not teaching you how to express it. And just because someone knows how to do it doesn't mean they know how to teach you how to do it. So what I found is that there's a lot of lack of education for health educators, for us who have got a message that could go impact people's lives. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is specifically the secrets to attracting clients who desire to pay you. How many of you want to attract clients that not just begrudgingly, not just reluctantly, but they actually desire to pay you? They're ready with cash in hand, ready to pay you whatever you effectively charge. Type I do in the chat below if that's you. So what we're going to learn, the first secret I'm going to share with you is how to get leads, how to build relationships and solve problems at scale even while you sleep. This is one of the lessons that I needed to learn early in my experience, and that radically transformed business once I understood these concepts. First of all, one of the questions that a lot of health educators come to me and they'll say, Enoch, how do I find people to sell my stuff to? And I want to get more sales. How do I find people to sell to? And I tell them, you don't find people to sell your stuff to. What's going on is right now, there are currently hundreds of thousands of people who already desire to buy what you desire to sell. But the only problem is that they don't know that you exist yet. So what you want to do is you want to make yourself findable to those who already desire to buy what you desire to sell. So how do you do that? By creating what I like to call lighthouse content. In my book on high-ticket health coaching, there's a concept that I teach in here called the lighthouse effect. And what this lighthouse effect expresses, and it talks about how you want to picture that your ideal client is lost at sea. And they're out there being tossed to and fro, they're confused, and they are about to make shipwreck of their health, their body, their life, their family. Like some of them are on the verge of dying and drowning in their health sickness and challenges. And some of them leaving their families without parents or spouses. But you have a message that can change their life. You can literally save their life. So there's two ways you can do it. One, you could be like the search and rescue and go scour the wide blue ocean and look for them. And it's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack. That's chasing down your ideal clients. And that takes a lot of resources. And there's a lot, the world is a large place to find your ideal clients. The second option is that you could tap into the lighthouse effect, which is where you're able to create content that sheds light in the darkness, that solves a small problem, provides clarity in their confusion. That is, you're able to create content that is able to attract your ideal client. Now you set yourself up, your brand, your name, your business as a lighthouse, a beacon of hope, a beacon of light to those who are lost at sea, where now they start coming to you. They start, instead of chasing clients, you're attracting clients. This is called attraction marketing. First time I learned this, I was growing my health business, and there's a lady who said that she got like 21 new clients it was like 20 days or it was 30 days or something. And I was like, how is she able to sign up so many clients? And she explained this concept of attraction marketing, where instead of you chasing down people and going after your clients, where they feel pursued, they feel hunted, you set yourself up as a beacon. You're able to create what I like to call lighthouse content, and then they start coming to you. They show up in the comments, they show up in the DMs, they show up in sending you friend requests and messages and referrals. They refer other people to you. The power of educational content that educates people closer to sale is that it allows people to share your content and allows people to refer others to you. That's like publishing a book is an example of lighthouse content. I just read a message last night. Someone was saying, I love your messages. They make things so simple. I could listen to you all day. It's so helpful. I send your videos out to as many people as I can. And while she's out there sending people out to my content messages solving problems, then those people are able to find out more of what I do, who I am, my story, and how I can help people. And they're able to, she's sending referrals to my business through doing that, through this content. So not only do we get a partner with an infinite number of people in getting your message out to the masses, because now you're tapping into leverage, which before used to be really only the wealthy could afford the leverage. Now you're able to leverage other people's time, other people's network, other people's knowledge, other people's abilities. That's now you're able to do more than what you could do yourself. Because I don't have access to all those people. But by creating Lighthouse content, you're able to let your light shine in the marketplace, and people are able to come to you and be enlisted, even unknowingly, to go spread your message far and wide. Does that sound good? Like, how many of you want to be a light in the darkness? Type light in the chat if you can see how this Lighthouse content is able to change the way that people see you. And this is how you make yourself findable, because they're already looking to buy what you're looking to sell. The only thing is they don't know you exist yet. So let's change that. I like how Jesus, actually it was the Apostle Paul. He said in 2 Corinthians 4:6, "For God who commanded the light to shine out of darkness," that's what we get to do, "hath shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ." So what this is showing is that light is knowledge. That's what it is. You have a health knowledge, and the way that we let our light shine is by communicating. There's another millionaire mentor of mine, and he shared with me that whoever is holding the marker usually is making the most money in the room. And he's showing the power of speaking, the power of creating and teaching and educating, that whoever is speaking generally is making the most money. Why? Because visibility is profitability. Write this down. Your greatest enemy of success in your health education business is not your competition. It's not the market. It's not what the government's doing. Your greatest enemy of success is obscurity. It's people not knowing you exist. And if you're not creating content online, in this digital age, it's like you don't exist out there. How are people going to find you? Even local business owners, when like Dr. Kendra Lee, she has a local practice where she is a wellness center where she's able to reach people in Bermuda and she's like, how do I grow my local business? And I share with her, create content. And by creating content, it has allowed her to land even like local radio shows or local morning talks or news outlets in that local area. By creating content on other people's platforms, she's became a somewhat of a local authority on her topic and area of expertise because she understood Lighthouse content. She ran with the idea, just like you. She was attending the challenge, and it was like day one of the challenge. She heard it, and she's like the psalmist says, "I delayed not, I made haste to keep thy commandments." And the next day, she's posting Lighthouse content, and she starts sharing. And her first video got like 70 views in the morning, 700 views by the end of the day, and has already got people interested. And she started getting clients shortly after that, where before she was having a hard time finding people. So instead of trying to find people, make yourself findable and let them come to you. And you position yourself as a helpful, trusted advisor. You go from being the annoying pest to the welcome guest. And now as a trusted advisor, they trust your professional advice when you're recommending solutions or programs, even if those programs and products are yours. So we want to let our light shine. And even in the modern day, is whoever's holding the microphone tends to make the most money. Like whatever the microphone, it could be clip on, it could be on your phone that you're able to publish out. It doesn't matter how you have the mic, but your mic is today's way of letting your light shine. And Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, "Ye are the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hid." So if the world is in darkness, as far as health, knowledge, and solutions that you know, who's responsible for helping to carry that light to them? It's us. And we get to do that by letting our light shine. When you speak publicly, when you express that light, that is one of the ways for you to let your light shine. And Jesus also said in Luke 12:3, "Therefore whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in the closet shall be proclaimed on the housetops." So now he's talking about housetops, which is like a platform that's able to elevate your message and reach a broader audience. Where back in the olden days, that's literally what they had. Their platform was a housetop where they can speak and they can share with a broader audience or a group. We're talking about one-to-many communication. We want to be able to express it far and wide, as many places as we can. And today, what are the modern housetops? The platforms that elevate our voice. It's social media. We have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have podcasts, we have other people's shows, these news outlets, we have books. There's different platforms available today that didn't exist back then. It's never been easier in human history to be able to record a message, to get it to the ideal person, and to be able to make a very generous, profitable income being able to do that. It's never been easier. There are people right now who know far less than you do about health, and they are making far more than you are because they're willing to pull out their phone and publish. And instead of saying, well, I don't have the right equipment, I don't have enough knowledge, I don't have enough audience, I don't have enough time, it's just all by being able to just go out and publish and share a message without having to overthink, but by expressing these ideas, you're able to connect and change lives. You don't have to know everything to share anything. And this is something that I learned, which is why at 17 years old, I started sharing, and I was speaking to audiences that were 3 times my age. And was it intimidating? Yes. Was I scared? Absolutely. But you know what? I did it scared. And I did it though. And because even my scared speech is better than the speech that you never publish or you never create or never make. And so this is, it's just learning to step out of our comfort zone, because what I learned is that everything that we want in life lies just outside our comfort zone. In fact, our comfort zone is where our dreams go to die. And this is where they never see the light of day. Many people go to these graves having unfulfilled desires and dreams that they wanted to make a difference. They wanted to impact the world. They wanted to share their knowledge with others and leave a legacy, but they don't, because they allow fear to hold them back, and limitation and lack. But we don't want to do that. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to create lighthouse content. So what are some examples of lighthouse content? You can have, number one, you got a signature speech. That is really what I would recommend is one of the most powerful first steps you could do is create a signature speech. And it's one message that's that you're able to craft your sales message, and that from there you could package that into a book. You can use that signature speech as you're being interviewed on as a guest on other people's show. You're able to turn that signature speech into blog articles. They could be little short YouTube videos that you're able to publish for others. Even that signature speech could be stretched out to do an entire health seminar or online challenges. These are just different ways you're able to package your content, but it all comes from your signature speech. But my advice is never give for free what you couldn't otherwise charge for a fee. This is very important because if you are giving content away that when people listen to it and they're like, oh, it's underwhelming, what you always want to do is you want to under promise, over deliver. When you have a habit of giving more value than what people are expecting, then it builds a brand, it builds relationship, it builds trust. And in this world we are in a trust recession. It's not as easy to sell to people or to have people believe the trust as there is today. It's different. So by one of the, I like how Frank Kern, he said one of the best ways for your prospect to know if you can help them is by actually helping them. And by being able to do that through Lighthouse content, you're able to help them to, I like what I call taste and see marketing. They get a taste what it's like to learn from you. They get a taste what your personality is, how you speak, your mannerism. You're going to get far more sales, because what's cool is they're tasting while you're out living your life, doing other things, working with clients, spending time with your family, learning, enjoying your life. They're out there tasting, and they'll spend hours with you. And it's fascinating to me how many hours people will watch in my videos before I ever have a conversation with them. And when I speak, they already know so much of these stories. They have all this common ground. They respect me. They like me. They trust. They have that connection. And it's rewarding. It's fulfilling. It's a blessing, because while I love talking to people, I love engaging with people. That's why I do weekly webinars. That's why I do the monthly challenge. I don't automate these challenges. I do it live because I actually enjoy getting to know your challenges, your problems, your insights, the things that you go through. And I like talking to people. But I realize that my time is limited. I used to do one-on-one calls. I was doing like 8 calls a day. Sometimes I would do it during lunch. Sometimes I would just do it in every time that I could possibly fit. And the one-on-one working with people it's so hard to maintain. And I realize there's still far more people out there that I'm able to actually support. So what's powerful with video is that you're able to scale your influence, scale your impact to the tune of hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands, even millions of followers and millions of reach. But when we share, we want to never give for free what you otherwise couldn't charge for a fee. Why? Because my goal is, and I would say that this is a good goal to have, is I always want to provide more value in my free stuff than most people charge for, where they might charge thousands of dollars, but I give them a masterclass for free. And the reason why is because I want people to think that, wow, if Enoch's free stuff is this good, then imagine how much better it'd be when I pay him. Because here's the reality. Even though I'm not holding something back, even though I'm pulling back the curtains of my millionaire mentors and lessons I've learned during these 5-day challenge, I can't give you everything that I know. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10. I've got over 10 years of experience in just the health education alone. So what I'm going to be sharing this week compared to my total health marketing knowledge is there's a big difference. So what I see is that in this program, a lot of times people will pretend, you know how sometimes you attend a webinar or a challenge and they pretend to teach you something when they're actually just trying to sell you something? This is not that. In fact, at the end of this challenge, I am going to make an offer. I'm going to share how you can work together, what you can do to extend this learning environment. Some of you during this challenge, you're going to learn so much, you're going to gain some momentum, and you won't want that momentum to stop. You're going to want to keep going beyond these 5 days. And for those, I've put together an offer, and it's going to make sense for some of you, and others it won't, and that's fine either way. But my goal is to give you as much as I can during these 5 days, and you can decide whether you want to do that or not. But I know that anyone who goes through this challenge is going to walk away with tons of insights, regardless of what you do. And what you want is with your free content, you want people to share, by having this approach. This is one of the reasons why people pay me thousands of dollars. And in fact, Jay Razook, he said this of some of my videos, I've paid $5,000 to get access to the advice you're giving away for free in your videos. He's a business lawyer for health professionals. Even Chrissy, she's attended our challenge before. She said, look, I've paid the $5,000, I've paid $10,000, and it was valuable, it was helpful, but not as valuable as I perceive this. The audience, they were so big. You know how with these big coaches, you get lost in the crowd and it's hard for them to actually listen to you, get to know your business? She said that this is more rare to find and more valuable. She says that my free content's more valuable than what she's paid $10,000 for. Now, these are the types of stories that you want to share with people because it builds a brand, it builds a trust, it builds a relationship with people. And you can't do it without creating the content. In order for someone to spend those hours of time with you, you have to have those hours of content out there. And it's a habit, it's a life practice that is one of the most valuable things I've ever done in my life is to create lighthouse content and continually let my light shine. Since 2012, when I uploaded my first video to YouTube, it's really changed my life. And so one thing that we can do as far as testing whether or not you are findable is you can conduct what I like to call a Google test. The problem is not that you don't have the knowledge, not that you don't have an amazing message and ability to help heal people. The problem is that your ideal clients can't find you with the help of the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, private investigator, because it's like you don't exist. You're not online. So when people search your name on Google, what shows up? How many of the front pages of Google do you own for your topic, for your area, even just your name itself? Because People are searching right now in the tune of hundreds of thousands, millions. They're searching for solutions that you have the knowledge to help. But if your name doesn't show up, your content doesn't show up in the search results, they're not going to know about you. They're going to go buy from someone who does produce content. And here's an example of a client of ours. He reached out to me, and his wife saw one of my short videos. It was 30 seconds. Then she realized what I did, shared with her husband, and he's like, hey, my wife told me about your health coaching business. I praise God for it. Would you know, last week I was on a call to get coaching for an online business for $6,000. I prayed and waited upon the Lord, and look what happened here. Here you are. I love Jesus' way is best. And so what this is showing you is that there are literally people right now who are ready to pay, who are on a call looking to pay for someone. But if you don't show up on their newsfeed, or if you don't show up online, you're forcing them to go pay. Send your best paying clients to your competitors. And then he asked the question, is this you? Because we're living in a day where people research. And so he looked up my name on Meta AI on Facebook, and this is what AI said about me. Enoch Leffingwell is a renowned entrepreneur, business coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. He's been fascinated with internet marketing since he was 12 years old and been an entrepreneur since he was 10. Enoch helps health coaches, speakers, authors, and other health entrepreneurs get paid a premium for their health advice by creating premium coaching programs. He's delivered over 3,000 presentations. He received training from industry leaders like Myron Golden, Russell Brunson, and Brendon Burchard. Now, that's not me saying that about me. That's AI. That's what happens when you search for me and what comes up. Now, I want you to think about this. If I say this about myself, then people are like, oh, yeah, that's easy. And of course, Enoch is going to say that. But if AI is saying that about you, if AI is positioning you in this manner that you are a go-to place, a credible source, then how much better is that for someone who hasn't paid yet, who's deciding to work with you? And when I talked to him too, he said that business coach was cussing a lot on the screen, and his attitude was really hard, that his knowledge was great, but it was hard to resonate with how he dealt with things, and he didn't like the idea of cussing out his family while they're trying to grow their business. So they ended up joining our program, and we're helping them with this calisthenics. So what we see is that the first principle the first secret to attract clients who desire to pay you is create lighthouse content. If this is the one thing you get out of the challenge, it will change the game and for the rest of your business. But it's not just all content, it's specific content that converts, because not all content is created equally. You want to create content as a content marketer, not a content creator. There's a big difference. What's the difference? Content creators teach stuff that they're passionate about talking about. Content marketers teach stuff that the market is passionate about paying for, where you're educating people closer to a sale. And that's one of the things that we teach when I'm coaching health educators. I'll walk through them. We really dive deep often into the difference between content marketing and content creation. So secret number 2 is, how do you pick a topic to speak about? What are you going to talk about? So I had attended this seminar. It was like an influencer summit. For $3,000, I invested with Brendon Burchard, and he brought in these speakers. Each one of them was making at least $1 million a year in their business as an author, as a podcast host, course creator, speaker, on the variety of different ways that you can monetize your knowledge. And you can, and talking about this creator economy, breaking down the money models of how you can make this message sustainable to support your mission. Brendon Burchard often states, if you don't make the money, you can't support your mission. And one of the speakers there caught my attention because she was a fitness influencer. Her name was Natalie Hodson. She got started because she had a health issue. She realized that she couldn't eat certain foods, so she had to change her diet for herself and her family. And she started documenting her journey. She started just blogging about some recipes she's doing, some exercises she's doing. She just started to share what's been working for her. And lo and behold, there's other women out there who also resonate, who are inspired by that, who are learning from her. And she built this community, and she started getting a following through this process that more people wanted to be a part of. And then it actually opened up more opportunities. She made herself findable to the people who are looking for what she had to offer. And really, it's interesting. I love these stories because she wasn't out there to be like, I'm going to be a fitness influencer. She's just like, I want to solve my own problem. How can I fix this for myself? But she published her journey publicly, sharing her experience. And that's what turned into a multi-million-dollar business. And it opened up multi-million-dollar opportunities. One opportunity, she was invited to go speak on this live stream exercise. It was after she had had her first baby and her bladder wasn't working the way that it used to. So while she was exercising in gray shorts on, I believe it was national television, maybe tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of viewers, she had an accident. She ended up peeing her shorts. It was so embarrassing. It was recorded. And what do you think Natalie Hodson did when she made this embarrassing mistake on public broadcast? Well, she edited it and turned it into a Facebook ad and then paid Mark Zuckerberg to send it to as many mothers as she possibly could. Why? Because what she did as a smart marketer, she partnered with a professional, a specialist who knows about, who specializes in women's physiology. She published an ebook called Abs, Core, and Pelvic Floor, and it talks about how to fix this dysfunction where women start to leak after they get pregnant and they have children, and their plumbing doesn't work the way that it used to. So she helped them to fix these problems. So what she was able to do is she turned her mess into her message. She partnered with a specialized doctor. She solved a very specific problem for a very specific person. Like, do you think I ever received that ad? No, I didn't. I only saw it when she was talking about her journey on the stage. Was she targeting every woman on the planet? No. Was it women who's never been pregnant before? No. It is mothers who after pregnancy are no longer working the way they used to. That's who she's helping to fix. So she's sharing this embarrassing video, and it was probably millions of people. It went viral for her area, and she was able to sell this $37 ebook, and she made millions in ebook sales alone, and then she built a profitable health speaking business on the back end of her book. So you could see that the riches are in the niches. By being able to pick your profitable person and the profitable problem, one of the ways that you pick the profitable problem to solve is you want to turn your problem into your presentation. You can pick topics that you're passionate about, that you want to learn, that maybe you're even in the process of overcoming. You don't have to fully overcome for you to document your journey and invite people to work with you or walk with you along this journey. So that's secret number 2. Secret number 3 is there are 2 primary ways that you can get paid to speak from stage. And you can share your message, you can impact people's lives both online and offline. How many of you would like to get paid to speak at events? Type paid in the chat if you want to know how you can share your message with other people. The 2 types of health speakers are this. Number 1 is those speakers who speak for a fee. They get paid for their speeches, and the average keynote speaker makes about $7,500 per speech. And then I remember the first time I got paid to speak at a talk, I was 17 years old, and I was invited to speak at this event. And as I was sharing, there was probably about 50 people in the room, and the event organizer, he gave me $100 for this hour speaking slot. And I was like, what is this for? And he told me that that's to encourage you in speaking. Every speaker here at this event, we paid for their travel, their lodging, their food, their housing, and we paid them for every speech that they gave, and we give them extra to take home because they got families to provide for and they do this for a living. And in my 17-year-old mind, who's often in this path, about to graduate high school, wondering, what am I going to do with my life? I heard him like, wait a second. You mean to tell me that there's people in this world who get paid to speak on topics that I would gladly share for free? And they're able to make a living off of it? Not just enough, not like peanuts to survive, but enough to provide for an entire family? And that was all I needed to know. From that day forward, I was psychologically unemployable. And I've dedicated the last 13 years of my life learning everything I possibly could about how to get a message out to the people in a sustainable way, in a mission-centered way, to be able to change people's lives and be able to build a team and a life and to enjoy the process of it. And then sharing with people now, what are some of the lessons I've learned in the last 13 years of traveling and speaking. So before I turned 18, before I graduated high school, I actually dropped out of high school to pursue the career in public speaking because my public speaking started taking off as I was invited to speak all along the West Coast before I turned 18. And I was like, if I had a speaking engagement and it required me to travel across the country and miss a few days of school, I'm like, bye school, I'm going to go speak because there's a mission to have and I want to go share with people. And that has been my mission, and ever since, like I realized my purpose in life is to share with others what God has shared with me, and I find no greater joy in being able to do that. So the another factor at that time is when I was in high school, I had a job where I was working at a plastic Model T company where my job was I was making $8.50 an hour. So if I worked for 10 hours, which I didn't, I would make like $85 a day, right? And what I was doing is I was taking a piece of plastic, twisting it off and putting it into different buckets. Plastic, twist, buckets. Plastic, twist, buckets. That was the whole thing. And it was mind-numbing. I could not stand it. And one of the hardest parts for me was there's a really sweet lady across the way, we'll call her Peggy. She had been working at this factory for over 40 years. And just the thoughts of me sitting there another 14 years, let alone 40 years, just horrified me. I thought there's got to be more than life than what I'm doing currently. There's got to be more to being, it's more fulfilling work, something that could be impactful than just this work that's right here. And I needed to do something different. And I left and I was like, I can't do that. And then shortly afterwards, I found that I can get booked and paid to speak, and later realizing that speaking is one of the most profitable professions in the marketplace, that it's one of the highest paying skills that you could possibly learn. And in fact, in 2012, around that time, if I looked up what I just did effectively in that speech, $100 isn't a whole lot of money. I mean, since then I've been paid $10,000 to give a 45-minute speech. I've spoken at an event, and from sales, been able to make $40,000 in a day. But like $100 at that age was eye-opening to me, because I just took what used to take me an entire day to make, $85 a day, and I learned how to make it in an hour. That was life-altering. Then learning how to make what it would take in a year and make that in a day, that's also life-altering. But at the time, the price of an average doctor, how much a doctor gets paid an hour, it was $96 an hour on average in that year. So I learned how to make about as much as a doctor does for an hour of speaking. And that is just like, it helped me to see, I'm like, wait, there's something here. And while I was speaking at one of these events as a teenager, there was someone in the audience who said, wow, I like what you're sharing. Are you willing to travel and speak? There's a conference in Florida, and there's going to be 3,000 people there, and I want you to share. Are you willing to share these principles over there? And I said, sure, I'm willing to travel. And so they covered my plane ticket. It was the first time I've ever been in a plane, the first time I ever stayed in a hotel, first time I ever visited the East Coast, and the first time I ever traveled alone. I had a lot of new life experiences, which speaking has given me a lot of firsts in life, being able to travel internationally now. But I remember being in that hotel. I was so excited I had to take a photo. That's what you see on the screen. I wanted to take a photo. I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? I'm actually here. And it's like most people, they pay thousands of dollars to travel, to explore, to go on vacations. But as a speaker, we get to be paid to travel and share. In fact, Regine of Kleinavars, she was able to navigate one of her first paid speaking events where she wanted to join a program because she was creating content online, and she's okay with that, but she's not as aware of what does it look like to get booked and paid to speak at different events, and what is that speaking to live audiences. So we've been coaching her through the process, and she got booked and got paid over, I believe it's over $7,000 for a 45-minute talk, and that's more than she's ever made in a day. And by being able to do that in an hour, in less than an hour, that's significant. And she's heard some of my stories where not only are they going to pay for her, they're going to pay for her daughters to go out there. They have a few days to go explore the area. And now they get to go on vacation sharing a message that she loves. And the event organizer is thrilled to have her. And she's going to share the stage with Dr. Barbara O'Neill's and being able to help her mission go further faster. And she's going to use the same signature speech that I've coached her through, that we put together, to be able to deliver to this audience. And people are served at some of the highest levels. So what's powerful is that speaking affords or opens to us doors that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. And one thing that I learned from Warren Buffett, he's one of the wealthiest people on the planet. He's a multi-billionaire, and he's often asked by different reporters. Reporters will ask them during Q&A sessions, and they're like, Warren Buffett, what's the greatest investment of your life? Because he made his billions as an investor. He knew that he wanted to be an investor when he was 12 years old. So he's got a brilliant mind when it comes to investors. One of the most brilliant investors on the planet so far with that. So people want to know, okay, what is it? Maybe they're thinking it was his investment in Pepsi, maybe Oracle, or maybe this company, or they're trying to figure out which investment was the best. And he always answers the same way. He says, my public speaking course was arguably the best investment I made in my life. Even so that he has his public speaking certificate on the door of his personal office that he goes through. And he shows that no matter what profession you have, anyone who learns how to speak in public can increase your value by at least 50%. And it's so fascinating to see one of the wealthiest people in the world being able to share that, because it's so true. There's a reason why public speaking is one of the most profitable skills you could possibly learn. And not just speaking to teach, but speaking to sell, it opens the doors for even more profitability. It's incredible when you learn the skills that pay the bills. These are what they look like. And so the first type of speaker is those who speak for a fee. And the second is those who speak for free. Now you might be asking, Enoch, why does a speak for a free have a larger money bag than speaking for a fee? I'm glad you asked me. Let me tell you. Because when implemented correctly, you can actually make far more money, especially when you're just getting started. Speaking at free events can be a very profitable activity than just relying on speaker fees, because speaker fees, like in order to make like $40,000 plus $50,000 or $150,000 at once, one speech, you got to be like an A-list celebrity. They have a lot of audience and influence. But when you learn to speak to sell, you can be a nobody. Like me, hardly anybody knows who I am, but because I've learned how to speak to sell, it has opened up the possibilities to be able to get paid to turn any speaking engagement to be a profitable engagement. So if one of the first times I saw this was I met Dave MacArthur, and here's a photo with us. Dave MacArthur's in the middle, I'm in the bottom, and he mentored me in a lot of this speaking to sell, because I realized for the first 5 years I was speaking to teach, and I would travel, do seminars, and I would share, and I'd pour out my heart and soul, but I was just making enough to survive, not really thrive or anything. But once I learned the stage selling secrets that Dave MacArthur taught, things started to shift drastically. And I realized there's a big difference between the two styles of speaking. And one is by learning how to address objections in advance, so that before they come up, they don't even They don't even like come up in the message because you've already addressed it in advance. So that was something that he used to make over $12 million on the back of a single signature speech. And I saw him deliver that signature speech like 80 times or more. And each time he tweaked some things a little here and there. And every time that I would listen not just what he's saying, but what he's doing and why he's doing it and how it's working. And by looking at patterns and asking, how does that fit in the context of my offer? How could I apply that? What's my version of a similar story? And just by learning, you want to be a super student of successful salespeople. And then another time that I saw this happen was years later. I was at an event. It was called Abundance, and there was Nick Unsworth and James Malinchuk. They were speaking at this event, and you could see this is a photo of Nick here. And there was about 1,000 people at this place, and they were all interested in learning how to build a business. They were like faith-based entrepreneurs. And I'm like, wow, this is a whole room of people who believe in business and the Bible. I'm like, this is cool. These are my people. I like it. But they did something fascinating. They sold this $3,000 course for, it was like publishing books. And they had about 300 or more people lined up when they made the offer. There's 300 people stand up, and the line was literally around the room, wrapped around this big conference, as you could see on the screen, and it was almost out the door. And my friend and I were counting, like, wait a second, there's a $3,000 offer, there's 300-ish people there, and if you do the math, that's a lot of money. That's over $100,000 that they just made in a day. And I was one of the first times I saw that people are making six-figure days. And I was like, this is something I got to really learn more about. And then the next day or the day afterwards, they presented a different offer. And again, it was a $3,000 offer, and they had a row of people out the doors, and they had another six-figure day. And I was thinking, this is incredible. But since then, I've begun to realize what people are really doing. There's a science to it. And in this speaker industry, I've been in rooms with people who have seven-figure days, even eight-figure days. Means that they make a $10 million on a day because they learn how to sell from stage. They're selling programs one-to-many, and they're able to generate that. In fact, Alex Hormozy just last month, he made $100 million in one day with the principles that he's teaching. So he just broke a world record with his book launch. He was selling books, and he made $100 million in a day, and he got a Guinness Book of World Records, but using the same principles that I teach my students. This is the stuff that's able to help you. These are the skills that pay the bills. This is how you're able to get your message out. And right now, it sounds like big numbers, like this is hard to imagine, but like it doesn't have to be a six figures or even $1 million, but even if it's like when you learn to take how long it used to take you to make in a year, and you learn how to make that in a month, that's a good month. And then you learn how to take what you used to make in a month and make it in a week, that's even better. And then you take what you'd make in a week and make it in a day and then an hour. Then you start making that each hour, it shifts something changes. And there's stages of it. First, make your first 10,000. Next, you could do 10,000 a month. Next, you can scale it. Wherever you're stuck at, there are principles to scale. The principles go from 0 to 10K. It's slightly different than going from 10K to 100K or to 10K a month. But whatever area that you're stuck at, that is, like, speaking can help unlock those areas of possibility. There's another time I was at Washington, D.C., and we were doing this health events and health meetings. And while I was in Washington, D.C., I had the opportunity to train under. One of the reasons I went is because Ron Meinhardt was going to be there for months, and I could work with him, live with him, and learn from him, and everything I could about health. I wanted to know. And he's a speaker who full-time does health seminars, and he provides for his wife and his daughters. And I was able to see him speak from place to place, event after event with his seminars. And that was the main way he supports himself. And I noticed that his health presentations are really high quality. He's got slides, he's got handouts, he's got engagements, he's got lots of metaphors. He's got a manner of presenting that's very polished, professional, looks good. And I realized a lot of my speaking mentors, they didn't really have that. And I wanted to ask him, like, why are you using these slides? Or like, how do you have these messages? You're saying the same thing at all these events. And he shared with me that he was able to travel with Dr. Agatha Thrash, who is the founder of UG Pines, and he later became the medical director. And he said after traveling with Dr. Agatha Thrash for 8 years to her many speaking engagements, one of the biggest lessons she taught me was about to have a signature speech. That she basically had the same set of 80 slides. She knew that she was going to share the same concepts at place to place to place. But you don't change the message, you change the audience. So the message always feels fresh and new and different to the audience. And by being able to do that, you're thinking less about what you're going to say next. You're able to focus more on the delivery, the people, engaging, and you're able to focus on different skill sets. Because before that, I had given over 300 presentations, and I was told that I can't repeat the same message twice. And if I do, people are going to get bored, they're not going to want to hear it, or whatever the case is. And but then what that made it happen is starting every new talk from scratch made it so much more time consuming, labor intensive. I wasn't able to get to know the material as well. And even though I would share these messages, they're like hour presentations, always doing it from scratch. I was doing a new one like every week just about, and it gets tiring, gets exhausting. The first time I realized that you can actually have a signature speech is simplify the content creation game. It made it so much easier, more clear, more compelling. You're able to practice your material a lot easier. And it was really game changing through that process. So another thing we'll look at is from having this, even in this process, when you learn how to craft a signature speech, when you learn how you can share that with audiences, we're talking about even if you're speaking for free, and even if you have speaking for a fee, but they allow you to make an offer to the audience, learning how to profitably communicate can open extraordinary doors. In fact, like here's an example of even this free speaking event. I was speaking at a Zoom call, and on the screenshot, there's 26 people there. This speech that I gave made me $26,500 and counting. And that was a free talk, but they allowed me to make an offer, and through the principles that I teach health educators how to do, like an hour speaking to make $26,000, it's not a whole lot of money, but I'm not complaining about it. And the ability to be able to make it on the back end of your speeches, that's really where the money is. Because even if it's not a whole lot up front, as long as you have a back end to offer, as long as you have a message that's optimized for serving people and helping them to take the next step with you, then it makes it where you could profitably communicate every time you open your mouth, just about. So on day 4, I'm going to show you, Sunday, 12 ways to profit from a signature speech without charging speaker fees. So make sure that you don't skip that. We're going to cover that in detail. And so let's start recapping. We're gonna summarize what we've covered so far. So I'm going to give you some assignments. You have an assignment to go live in the Facebook group, and I want you to share your takeaways. I want you to just share what has stood out to you through this process. What is your topic that you want to serve people with? Why are you committed to it? And do a Google test. If you haven't done a Google test, look up your name on Google, see how many of the front pages of Google do you own. And that is going to help you to understand or grasp what your work is. And if you don't own that many pages, then that is your job to now go create that. Also, you can upgrade to VIP if you haven't upgraded already. You can go to highincomehealthexpert.com/upgrade and invite other people. This is something that you can invite. Think, who do you know that's a health educator? Who do you know that has a health message? Who do you know that could really benefit from some of these concepts? Because these challenges are more fun to do together. It's fun when you got accountability. It's fun when you have a friend that you can learn with each other, go through a similar experience. So think about who do you know that you can invite, and go send them a link to join. I have some book recommendations for today, and I'll share those with you, and we'll close. First book that I would recommend, I believe it's the greatest marketing book ever written, and it's the Bible. Because In the Bible, first of all, it's the number one best-selling book in human history. Second, like Jesus is a great, most brilliant marketer that ever walked the earth. He did more on his time in 3.5 years. He spent more of his time healing the sick than even preaching. But in those 3.5 years, he created a movement that reached billions of people. So if you want to understand leadership, communication, teaching, persuasion principles, I mean, he is the best example you could see throughout scriptures. Second, if you want to attract clients, you want to be a magnet to your ideal clients, grab a copy of the book Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. This book contains invaluable insights that shows you how to get the eyes and the ears of your ideal clients. It's going to show you principles that are extremely effective. And traffic is just the attention of your clients. Without attention, you don't have a business. Money follows attention in the marketplace. And then Hook Point is by Brendan Kane. He grew his Facebook group, his Facebook page from 0 to 1 million followers in 30 days using the principles that he teaches. And Hook Point shows you how to stand out in a 3-second world where people's attention spans is being shortened and the fight for attention is more fierce than ever before. This book shows you how to stand out. And then the last book is Business Secrets from the Bible. It's written by Daniel Lapin. This is a really profound book, especially if you have challenges about business or questions about how business and Bible coincide. This is written by a Jew so it's really talking about like the Old Testament mostly, and just like understand, he ties that in there quite a bit. But as far as the biblical principles, he's showing that business is a good idea because business is a God idea. Some of the lessons you'll learn there will fundamentally shift the way you show up in your business, in your life, in your message, and it can give you a solid ground if you're feeling hesitation as far as monetizing your knowledge or your mission or knowing how to share with others. This book is eye-opening. That I would definitely recommend it. So today what we talked about is the secrets to attracting clients who desire to pay you. Tomorrow we're going to share about the keys of selling while serving, and how if you feel uncomfortable with selling or knowing what to say or how to share it, this is what we're going to be covering tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. Bring a friend that want to come too. I look forward to seeing your live videos in the challenge. But until next time, remember friends, God doesn't call a qualified, He qualifies a called. Have a great day and God bless.